What's up, family? Welcome back to the Stop Sinking Show, where we go from struggle to flow. In sales, when we try to sell a suite of products or services, we have this term called right-fitting the client, meaning selling the right solution to the right customer. This can also be part of your qualifying the customer step to make sure that they are first a good fit for your offerings at all, and then to figure out specifically which exact offering is best suited for their needs. The whole goal is to not undersize or oversize the solution for the given problem. A person should feel listened to and acknowledged in that you actually understood their issue and gave them the right thing to match the right issue for the right time that they are in. The reason why this works in sales is because of human psychology. No one wants to go home and still have the problem, even partially. No one wants to go home having paid for something, gone through all this effort, and have it only solve half of their problem. And also, no one wants to go home and have any remorse that they overbought or got something that is an overkill for their issue. You have to right fit the customer. And the fact is that this human psychology is lost on most people, because this also plays out in every other aspect of life. Many that are not transactional. Many relational issues are because we either oversized or undersized the reaction to the presented problem. You have to let people tell you, reveal to you, what exactly, to what degree are they being affected by this issue, this current issue with them, and you have to speak to them in matching the seriousness, the tone or manner which directly corresponds to making them feel heard, understood, and then calm and susceptible to influence and feedback or further inquiry. Without the right match, you will frustrate most people trying to have a relationship with you. If you underreact or overreact, it is not only that it causes disharmony, but over time becomes a cue for the person who you're interacting with to try and play into whatever gets you to react, because they just want to feel seen. They want you to take what they feel with some degree of seriousness. And all of that game then muddies the water of trying to get to baseline reality. Children are like this. And we'll start with children for an important reason. You can see their reactions to the same thing very significantly based on which parent they are with or in between different parenting styles and different parents. When a child falls, unless they are seriously hurt, the first thing they do is look around for cues on what your reaction was. If you're a nervous parent who panics at the first sight of any possibility of your child being hurt, and you rush over and pick them up and are overly concerned, like, oh my God, are you okay? Those children will match the worried reaction that you gave them and start crying. Remember, they themselves as children don't yet have a complete gauge on what to be afraid of, what to expect as bumps and bruises when learning to walk or play. They will look to you to design their entire internal world. And the parent who is more nonchalant, still keen on major things, but the one who doesn't react right away, who just expects the kid to get right back up, brush it off and continue playing, again, unless seriously hurt, which should be monitored and assessed, most of the time, those kids will just see the parent's carefree attitude, accept the fact that they will fall while playing, and will get right back up, probably still laughing and smiling, and go right back to playing. In a child-parent relationship, the cues are flying both ways. And the programming of them and the reactions are responsibility of both parties. And a parent who is aware of this understands that they hold some responsibility in right-sizing the reactions then, so that the kid becomes more attuned to what is appropriate in what scenario, when they should be worried and when they should just be brave and be playful. The reason I spoke about children first is because much of this continues into adulthood and with adults around us, except now since we are not the parent, it is not our responsibility to impose the right size of reaction. It's more about gauging it. And yes, sometimes we're still dealing with the child in the adult. But if you want to deal with the adult who believes themselves and presents as an adult, if you want to have any relationship and influence, you have to gauge their reaction and meet them there. If someone falls as an adult, you would have to be cruel or mean-spirited to find it anything but concerning at first. We have to rely much more on trusting that the person themselves will give us cues on how to proceed. And if they are hurt, it is only our job to react in accordance to what they communicate. And if they bounce right back up and brush it off, we can start to fade our concern back to baseline, making sure that they're okay. What we cannot do is assign appropriate reaction for them, because adults can be relied upon to communicate serious hurt. Some of them embellish it, but you still have to take it from where they present it to you. And the opposite, even the most courageous, bravest people who won't tell you when they're hurt are to be given the space of your reaction to match what they need. If they don't want to make it a big deal, you don't make it a big deal, even if their limb is hanging off. Sometimes that's just how it goes. If somebody wants to run with a broken foot, you can't stop them. As an adult, our job, like with a customer, is to right size our reaction to fit whatever it is that matches their perception of reality and support them in it. It would be wrong of us to impose any different. I'll tell you in different ways how you wouldn't like it if it was otherwise. If instead of taking how you feel and treating you as such, I tried to tell you how to feel, you wouldn't like it. The other day, I was walking to the entrance of my gym from the parking lot, and I noticed a police car. And when I was pulling up, I saw a bunch of people standing in the corner, people that I know, and I didn't think anything of it. And then I started to walk past as I got out of the car, and I realized the police was there, and so were the people that I knew standing there because someone had broken the window of one of their cars. Someone broke into their cars, probably something that they tried to get out of it. And I stood for a minute feeling bad for the person because I know them, noticed to make sure if everyone was safe, and then I proceeded to go inside because I don't want to be nosy or just not be helpful, just standing there. And about an hour later, the person whose car it was that was broken into was working out. And when they were free, I asked them if they were okay and how they felt. Now, as someone who has had his own car broken into, I know the feeling personally. But again, my reaction does not necessarily mean it has to be their reaction. I would probably be stressed and upset, but I can't impose that as a reaction that everyone else will have, because I've also been calm at certain times in these situations. So it really just depends on my constitution that day, I guess. Who I am today is always who I am today. I try not to put my own reactions into a box. And so I try to allow other people the same. And so instead of being overly down about the situation, I just asked openly how they were doing. And they said completely casually, "Oh, it's just a window. No big deal." And I could tell that they really meant it. Like it wasn't something that they were just trying to tell me or tell themselves, but their spirit was lighthearted. And it truly didn't seem like anything but a minor inconvenience that just happened to be, and it'll be fine. And I obviously loved how lightly they were taking it, considering the pain that it is and the expense and the hassle that it is. And not to mention, it was now raining outside and a blanket was covering their window. But again, that was their reaction. Completely calm, playful, and over it in a sense. Just working out carefree. And that's when I thought about how beautiful this reaction was. But I also realized that it had to come from them. If instead it was me or someone else who tried to minimize it and just said, it's just a window, meanwhile they were panicking or were upset or angry or stressed, if I did that, I would be completely off base and probably be a terrible person if that came from me. Again, as an adult, other adults are entitled to their complete and unfiltered reactions. And you have to take it to the degree of seriousness that they take it as, or otherwise. And if you want to have any form of relationship with people, your only job is to meet them right where they are. And only if you have some deep place with them, or have spent some initial time making them feel heard, only then can you really open the door for transforming or influence. I can listen to my close friend's problems, appropriately respond to all of his emotions, and then, because I care about him and I have that place, I can then try to speak to him. Some things that he can try to consider to strengthen his resolve or to affect his reaction in some positive direction next time. But all of that wouldn't be possible until I first met him right where he is. For my reaction to match and be exactly right-sized to his. It's not for me to minimize or accentuate how someone else should behave. It's only my job to take in the data and move accordingly. You wouldn't like it otherwise. If I told you how to feel, if I imposed, even under the guise of what seems to be wisdom or perspective, if before I made you feel heard or understood, if I told you how to feel instead, you would be repulsed. To maintain healthy relationships, all people want is to feel seen. And that is not a one-time event to make them feel seen. Humans are complex, fluctuating beings. We might react completely differently to the same thing on 2 different days. Making them feel seen means 2 completely different things on 2 different days then. Something as simple as what I ate the night before, how I slept, what my last 3 interactions were like, all add so much variability to how someone shows up in the moment. For someone to feel seen, it means then that our eyes must constantly be open and nimble, our hearts ready to feel for them. And it isn't up to me to tell you how big a deal something is. I just have to meet you where you are, hold your hand if you want me to, and walk through these moments with you to a place where you yourself can safely look back and decide how to feel and react next time should this occur again. In me taking your lead on how to react for something going on with you, and you doing the same for me, over time, we can appropriately right-size reactions to issues that fundamentally sit at the core of our entire relationship. I respect your right to feel what you feel. I love you, family. Stay true always. I see you on the next show.